Okay. Meeting called to order, please rise to salute the flag. Pledge
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, members,
Councilmember Boyd,
Present.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Here.
Supervisor Trombley,
Here.
and Councilmember Rochester's absent.
Okay. Approval of the minutes, previous meeting from March 14th, 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of March 14th, 2023.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
No second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Presentations of petitions, communications, and general question period. Welcome, Jody. Do you want to state who you are and why you're here?
My name is Jody Perrier. I'm the dog control officer for the town of Champlain. Here in reference to a proposed amendment to the dog control laws for the town of Champlain.
Okay. So we'll wait until we hit that in new business. Is that okay, or do you need to address it sooner?
I'm
I can move-
fine,
I can move
sir.
it up. Okay.
I'm at your pleasure.
Okay. Thank you, Jody.
You're welcome.
Okay. Supervisor's report. Good evening. Congratulations to Village of Rouse's Point trustees Nick Southwick and Dale Menard on their election to office. And congratulations to Village of Champlain Mayor Janet McFetrich and trustees Kim Trombley and Nikki Valinsky on their election to office. The Champlain Fire District will be holding 2 public hearings to provide information on the new fire station proposal. These will be held at the Champlain Fire Station on Elm Street, April 20th and 25th at 7 p.m. Following, there will be a public referendum vote will be held at the Champlain Fire Station on May 16th, 2023 from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. This is a very needed improvement for our fire district. Please consider this carefully, as there is a cost associated to making improvements to grow our community. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, is conducting a National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey through the National Center for Health Statistics. This will be conducted May 25th through July 29th of 2023. Approximately 591 people from the Clinton County will be asked to participate in the survey. Interviewers will be calling selected households throughout the county, and they'll be following recommended CDC guidelines to keep survey staff and participants safe. This information can be found online at www.cdc.gov/NCHS/NHANES, which is NHANES/.HTM. This information is also posted here in the office, and I believe it's posted on the website as well. So when you get those calls, clarify that this is through this nutrition examination survey of National Health, and it's not a prank call. And I believe that you will also, the selected people will also receive something by mail, according to the news this morning. But the information I got did not say that.
I can show you what it looks like. It'll be a folder that will come from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and it will have all of the necessary information
Yeah, that
inside of it, so.
That looks just like what I received here at the office.
Correct. So,
The Champlain Knights of Columbus Council 3525 and Catholic Daughters Court 1451, Lily of the Mohawk, will be holding their annual senior dinner on Sunday, April 23rd, 2023. Dinner is free to residents 65 and over residing in the town of Champlain. And the villages of Champlain and Rouse's Point, of course, are included. Also, Council 3525 and Catholic Daughters 1451 members aged 65 plus and their guests. The senior dinner will be held at Champlain Catholic Men's Club, 3 Oak Street, Champlain, New York. Doors will open at 3 p.m. with a turkey dinner served at 4. To attend, reservations must be made by calling Gloria Tatro at 518-298-8789. The reservations must be made prior to Wednesday, April 19th. So I apologize, this meeting was postponed for a week. I know it's only a day's notice from this, and you might not hear it until later. But it's been out in all the church bulletins. Oh, Andy, sorry.
That's okay.
The highway department has been busy cleaning, painting, and repairing our equipment this past month. The trucks and equipment look great. Starting this week, they will be sweeping sand and cleaning the roads. Please be aware of them in your travels and slow down when in the work zone for their safety and yours. The traffic delineators will be installed again on Prospect Road along the trail sometime after the highway department sweeps the sand. The Champlain EMS Board is conducting research to define aspects of their organization that may alleviate the town's concern with having the expense of emergency services within the tax cap. The leadership team meeting was tentatively scheduled for early April to discuss the findings of this research with the EMS Board. The EMS Board is not ready to meet this month, therefore it is pushed out to at least May. Therefore the date is to be determined. The Restore New York grant funding. Round 7. The application for Round 7 grant funding was successfully submitted on January 27th, 2023, and we are still patiently waiting for the announcement. I attended an informal meeting hosted by Clinton County IDA last November. This was to roll out a tri-county initiative headed by the Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning. Following that meeting with the property owner's permission, I submitted 2 properties. One was 22 acres behind the Miramar Mall, and the other was the acreage of land east of Hudson Headwaters. The consulting firm Cameo Associates just completed their study, and the Miramar property was chosen as one of the housing site profiles. I will be attending an informational meeting with Cameo Associates in the Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning to learn details of moving forward with this very exciting project, and that meeting's tomorrow night. We'll find out. Arbor Day. April 29th, the town of Champlain has scheduled a Prospect Road cleanup on April 29th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. to pick up the vast amount of litter along this corridor from the village of Champlain to the village of Rouse's Point. Note, our concentration will be on the village of Champlain to Route 276 on this day. We would also hope to complete a section of Dubois Road from Locust Street to Tallman Road if possible, depending on attendance and time. So I welcome help. Please come out and give us a hand. Again, that's April 29th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we'll probably meet, as we did last year, down in the, around the FedEx building and spread out from there. The town of Champlain also has litter along many of our town roads. In addition to this group effort that we are organizing, we ask all of our residents to please help by picking up the litter on the road near your property. We thank you in advance for helping to keep our town beautiful and attractive to visitors. Additionally, the Rouse's Point Champlain Kiwanis Club will again be donating and planting a tree on Arbor Day. Therefore, we on the board need to get together and choose a location for the tree at Bodvin Park. The tree planting is tentatively scheduled for April 29th at approximately 1 p.m. Please join us if you can. The Chamber of Commerce May Business After Hours is being hosted by Goss Chevrolet in Champlain. It is scheduled for May 18th, 5:30 to 7. So to our businesses and villages board members and this board here, please come join us. This is a great opportunity to network with other business and public leaders. So again, it's May 18th, and we haven't had one up here in a long time, so I hope that all the local business people get out. The free rabies clinic held at the Champlain Fire Station on Elm Street in Champlain on April 4th was very successful. There was a total of 176 animals vaccinated. So thank you to Clinton County and any efforts you put in, Jody, as well. Reminder, a New York State burn ban remains in effect through May 14th. I know everybody's getting itchy to burn because it's nice weather, but please hold off. Thank you to all of our veterans and active military men and women for your service. Also, thank you to all of our first responders for your dedication to your community. And we also have a new shipment of COVID test kits with an expiry date of July 2023. We have surgical masks, KN95 mask available. We also have mosquito dump kits available. Yes, we're getting into mosquito season. Especially this time of season, it's time to get these, because if you have any standing water, you're gonna wanna put these in. So please come in if you would like some to help control the mosquito season. Thank you for your time. Reports to the council members. Brian, can we start with you? I
Yes.
should say council member Moore, I'm sorry.
Just want to announce the Clinton County Youth Bureau is having a baseball softball instructional clinic at the Rouse's Point Civic Center on May 3rd from 6 to 7:30 p.m. So that's May 3rd, 6 to 7:30, Rouse's Point Civic Center. They're having a instructional baseball softball clinic for all youth in the county. So if anybody's interested.
Those are all ages, correct? And
Yes.
it's free.
Yes, and it's free.
Yeah.
And then, the Youth Commission forms for the 2023 season are here. They're for all of the sports, in the summer, soccer. Please visit the Town of Champlain website, townofchamplain.com for a copy of the forms. They'll also be available on the Village of Rouse's Point and the Village of Champlain websites, and the Northeastern Clinton Central School website this week, so you should be able to do that this week. You can always call the Town of Champlain if you need more information.
Yes.
The forms are online, and we do have some here if you don't have access to a computer. So that's all I have to share. The season's coming.
Mhm.
This weekend showed us that, didn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was nice.
then,
Do you have anything on the fitness center? Cause
No,
I can update you some on that.
they sent an email, I read it, but they hadn't done anything yet, they were waiting for us, I believe. Right, was that the gist, or did I?
The gist was they wanted us to fill out the grant applications for MVP, to try to get into this round. Then I sent out letters to Gosh Chevrolet, Hudson Headwaters, CBPH Foundation, American Legion Rouse's Point, and Hudson Headwaters agreed to donate $10,000.
Nice.
$5,000 now and $5,000 in January. So we're gonna keep moving forward with the hope of receiving enough assistance to make this happen. There is one detail that was kind of hidden, and you had to really dig to find it. There's a $26,000 or $27,000 labor charge to assemble and install this. So that brings our cost up over $70,000. So it depends on how much money we can get. I made it clear to Hudson Headwaters that this will get put in account and held until we can achieve this goal. And if for some reason we don't make it, we'll have to go back to them. They're the first one to respond, so that's pretty cool. So I want to have that time to talk to you.
Good.
No better time than present.
What is the requirement that's placed on the municipality financially? How much do we have to put up to
Well,
kind of be approved for this?
it was 53,000, and now it looks like it's more like,
Right.
it should be, if it's 27, it'd be $8,000.
8,000, yeah.
The villages will chip in if I can get this whittled down small enough.
Okay.
So we're gonna keep chipping at it. There's, the grant application has been submitted to MVP. So, it's, sorry about that, that just kinda like happened
Yeah.
this past week, it's been busy.
Yeah. We're getting there. It's-
Step forward.
Yeah.
Councilmember Hunter.
Let's see, you've already touched on the Champlain Fire Department with their hearing dates and their vote. In terms of the Rouse's Point Fire Department, their breakfast that was held this past weekend was very successful, according to Mike LeBlanc. Also, in terms of the Village of Rouse's Point, street cleaning has begun. If you haven't seen them yet, they will be around very soon. It started April 5th. I think Supervisor Trombley announced that the Village of Champlain is kind of holding their cleanup on April 29th, from what I saw on their website. And also, the Village of Rouse's Point will be having their spring cleanup days that will run from May 8th through May 12th, and there will be absolutely no pickups after that date. Residents are reminded that this collection is for the pickup of bagged leaves, shrubs, and tree limbs less than 3 inches in diameter. There will be no pickup of paint cans, tires, stumps, waste oil, stone, cement, or wood. And residents are requested to please bag all leaves in clear bags only and place them at curbside in such a position so that parked cars do not block the pickup of those items or these items. This will be greatly facilitating their collection process. There's nothing to report in regards to EDU appeals this month, so that is good. I think that's all that I have, although I did pass around some handouts as we start to take a look at adopting a credit card policy, some things that I think that might come in to be very handy. So,
Okay.
that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Rochester.
Was that, these, credit card things, was that on that website of the comptroller?
Yes. You'll see that I gave you kind of a combination of things. One is, it does come from the state comptroller's office, and it talks about 5 different categories that I think we want to consider when we put this policy together. But I also gave you 2 different options in terms of directions that we can go in regards to adopting a particular user credit card agreement. So, and many municipalities do have something like that in place. So,
And who would be, involved in using them, just,
well, those are some things I think the board has to have discussion on in terms of how that's gonna work.
makes sense?
Yeah, it'd probably be limited to, you know, this
So
office.
fewer people, the
and
better,
Alan
really.
at best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but, yeah,
Right.
there aren't a lot of people
Correct.
that
Alan,
need
Sarah,
it.
and the supervisor, I think.
Right. But there's nothing in terms of our town code right now that has anything. So
So we
Yeah,
it's
that's
definitely something we're gonna move forward with.
limited, huh?
Yeah, that's why I think we added it to the old.
You did
business.
to the old business.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yes,
so we don't,
it was
so
under
we don't
that.
miss it.
So,
Yes, and I think you're right, that's, something that needs to be addressed
Mhm.
quickly. So. Fraud is everywhere.
That's true.
mhm.
But I do not have anything to add to, this month's,
Okay,
agenda.
thank you very much.
Is that survey they're talking about? That's,
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Well, that's gonna be interesting when that comes. We're received.
Yeah.
I think we're very fortunate to have Hudson Headwater. It is so nice not to have to run down to Plattsburgh and you feel
Yes, we are.
like, you know what?
Yes, we are. We're
And
very
you can
fortunate.
just go and find a doctor or a healthcare provider. So many people are having a hard time even finding a doctor these days. If you don't have the right insurance, boy oh boy, you're
Yeah.
up the creek without a paddle.
Even if you do have the insurance,
Well,
still,
that-
it'll
that's
take you
true,
some
it's,
time.
it's challenging, especially for
Sometimes it's
specialists.
challenging locally,
Yeah,
because we,
Yeah.
in some fields, we have a shortage.
Mhm. It's hard to attract, you know, people that could go pretty much anywhere,
Mhm.
but we do have a lot of nice things to attract them.
Yes, we do.
And just in regards to that,
Mhm.
and Haynes, that you're referencing, if you are contacted, just so the public is aware, they have a very strict pledge in terms of their privacy policy. So it's not like this information is gonna be out and about.
Yes, that's why I said
That's
they're following the CDC guidelines regarding that.
That's correct, so feel confident with this.
Yeah, it's not I want to make people aware of it, getting another
Yeah,
scam, another prank call.
yeah, that's true. And older people unfortunately are often the brunt of that, and it's very easy when somebody is charming on the phone and is willing to talk to you and.
True. Okay, anything else? Thank you very much. Councilmember Bory.
All right, I'll start with zoning. Unfortunately, I was not able to make the meeting due to my need to be at the school for the musical, but
Which was awesome, by the way.
Okay, thank you. It was very nice for all those people that attended. We do appreciate that. Hopefully you enjoyed the show as much as the kids enjoyed putting it on, so zoning, there were 3 public hearings. Again, Julie, correct me if I'm mistaken here, but there were 3 public hearings scheduled for the evening. 2 of which took place with solar applications, and both those applications are moving forward. And the other public hearing, the application was tabled until the next meeting due to the fact that there was somebody who wasn't present at the meeting to talk about the application, correct?
Yes.
Alright, so the next meeting will be on April 20th, that's at 5:30 right here at the town office, and that is open to the public, so that's the zoning board of appeals. I'll mention Hometown Heroes now, so Sarah and Melody and I were working on planning the ceremony for all of the participants. That will happen sometime in mid to late spring will be I'm gonna say. We're trying to partner with both the VFW here in Champlain and if Rouse's Point, Montgomery, 912 wants to participate as well, just to kind of see if there's anything that they would like to add to it, but we'd like to just have like a little jubilation for those that are participating with the program, of course honoring those individuals, regardless of whether they're still with us or not. And so we're planning that, so more information to come hopefully at the next meeting for when that ceremony will be. And the banners have been ordered, I believe they are here, all the new ones if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not certain, but
Yeah.
they are.
And they were also talking about exactly when those are gonna go up, but they, our goal is to have them up no later than Memorial Day.
Nice.
So they will be up for sometime in May, so. Anyway, so Hometown Heroes, so you'll be seeing those soon enough. Next thing is, I guess, update on marketing. So the video, we're pretty close to finished. I mean, I think it's, hopefully we can have a screening. The winter video sooner rather than later, so we're pretty close to that being wrapped up. I know Boyer Benner would like to get the finished copies, because that's something that's gonna be connected to the website, which is something else to discuss. So I talked with Boyer Benner, and if you're all good with the changes that we made last time to the mission statement, I think they would like us to just make sure that that's locked in. And we agreed last time that it would be, our mission statement would be help foster community and work to develop economic growth. That would be our mission. And as long as that's, I have that correct, and they'd like to finalize that. And the vision, I think, was the same as well. I think the vision we agreed was,
I think the vision's, that's the correct one, I believe.
yes. So our vision is a destination that is rich in history, nature, and opportunity. Stay true to a family-oriented quality of life and celebrate the people and history that make us who we are. That's our vision. And I did give them the changes. It looks like some of those changes have already been made here on the stationery and the,
That looked perfect as well, yes.
yeah, they added we wanted the physical address of the town office, and so that's on there, and so they made those adjustments. So one of the things that we need to work on, and Aaron suggested that there not be maybe too many hands in this, but please, feel free to chime in. We're being given a website survey that we need to complete that will help shape what we will offer on our website. So it's not a matter of, do we reinvent the wheel? I think they say that according to the group, they are gonna take what we currently have and try to make sure that it's being able to be presented. But if there's anything on our website that is maybe no longer necessary or can be consolidated, or things that are currently missing from our website that need to be there. That's kind of what they're looking for. They say that's the heavy lifting part. Them putting together the finished product is, I don't wanna say it's easy, but for them, that's the easy part. It's just making sure we're giving them the correct direction on which they will go for what needs to be part of this website that we're looking to launch here relatively soon. So they've given us this survey, or at least we think we have this survey.
I didn't find it in the email, but it's probably on an earlier thread, so I have to go back.
And I can just double check that they,
Plus I've asked them to resend it.
yes, so, but I think Tom, they want you to take a look at it. I think Sarah works with the website quite a bit. I think she should take a
I
look
think
at
she
it.
has
I've
to
been
be
asked to,
involved.
but if anybody would like to participate in this, feel free to do so. So we can really get something that's streamlined, maybe is the best way to put it. Nothing that's overly complicated, but it also is offering everything it needs to offer too. And making sure that we have appropriate links to the villages and
The school.
what the school, and what do those things look like if we're looking to have like an industrial park page, or, those kinds of things. So stuff that we really
So-
need to.
So what if Sarah and I fill this thing out and look at it first, and then one of you at least, or two of you wanna look at that finished
I'm happy
product
to look at it.
and see if we missed anything, if anything needs to be added,
Yeah.
and then you probably have final approval,
On that, or I would say whatever the board decides.
the next
Yeah.
meeting?
Yeah, because they.
'Cause the meeting's only 3 weeks away from here now, so.
Right.
That should work.
Yeah, and so once they have that roadmap, they gave me the timeline of roughly about 2 weeks before they can actually have something that we can look at as a working draft of the website, so. It's correct, yes. So,
Okay. How are we with the commercial video, the industrial commercial video, where are we at with that?
that still needs the voiceover. So it's all been filmed, they just need to put what the content is in there.
Is that something we can accomplish
Yes,
in the near future, you think?
yes.
I know you need data, I can help, between Sarah and I, we can help get data, if you give me a list of what we're looking for.
Sure, yeah. And that can be whatever, whatever is relevant for potential business development, whatever that is. We've got to probably give them population statistics. That would be I'm just gonna kind of throw a few things at the population statistics.
Numbers of employees working here.
Yes, that's correct.
Number of companies.
Yes, available parcels, ready to go, buildings that are already ready to, all you gotta do is move in whatever you need to move in versus we have available to start from scratch if you wanna build from the ground up, and so that's the kind of stuff that would be focused on that. And what's nice about that with the voiceover, if say we get development within 5 years and some of that stuff's no longer available, we just simply change that video around a little bit, it gets a slightly different narration, and maybe a piece of this is cut out, or if something has expanded, look what else, this park is now available, and we have, so, it's easily changed.
Okay.
Proximity to the border, maybe volume of traffic that goes through the border on either a weekly, monthly basis, yearly, those kinds of things. That's the kind of stuff that people need to know. It's a quick snapshot. You're not gonna be able to throw everything at them, but if you can give them 10 good statistics that they're like, oh, I didn't know that, you know, that's really what we're looking to do. It's a pitch, it's like what they used to call an elevator pitch. You give somebody the quick 5-minute go around, so.
Okay, if you could email us a list, I'll get, Sarah and I can start trying to data mine and get that information, get a hold of the board, get the number of
Sure.
crossings that take place,
Sure.
say monthly,
Yeah.
and annually, maybe monthly, annually, something like that. And then we can weed it down if we get too much information.
Well, that is a problem.
Yeah, so,
All right, so we'll put that on our list of things to do here, coming up.
could we roll, if for some reason we don't get that piece ready in time for that website, can it get rolled out with that blank and then added?
I think you gotta be careful with that. I think when you start to put something out that isn't comprehensive enough, then you risk people
Piecemeal.
coming back to it.
Well, I meant like the whole video.
Oh, the video itself?
They're gonna be yeah, they're all gonna be separate entities.
Separate ones, right?
Yeah, and that shouldn't, as long as we have the script for it, it should not take very long. That's
Okay.
just a matter of a voiceover recording that all has to be done.
Okay.
It's a matter, it's what we want it to say at this point, because it's already been filmed.
Well, I don't wanna sound like I'm getting anxious, but I was hoping, because of that summer video mostly, which is built around tourism and, you know, bringing people in, I think it's critical it gets out, you know, by Memorial Day if we can, but
Sure.
it's probably a.
Well, that is ready to roll, so that's in the can and ready to go. So the website survey, and I did get a cost, so so Aaron said that the service per month for website maintenance and, I guess the programming, whatever, the platform in which it lives on, he says it's about $60 a month. That's kind of where, so just budgetary wise, just giving yourself an idea, that's kind of where he put it at. And I don't know how that is price-wise compared to other things, but.
That's comparable.
And let's face it, in this day and age, that's probably money well spent, because that's where you're gonna see, I guess, a lot of connection to where we are.
Correct.
Not necessarily gonna be walking
Correct.
in the door, but it might be through the
Yeah.
internet traffic, because that's also what they're gonna be doing, is
Yeah.
creating these algorithms that are gonna drive people
Right.
to us.
Right.
Well, that's why we hired them, because of those algorithms.
Right, and not only that, you want it so that, you know, any type of updates, and where, you know, people, this is how they're gonna find out about what's going on in the town. Those updates will come automatically to their mobile devices, et cetera, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
So they didn't, by any chance, give any type of quote for the initial site itself?
No. That may be just a matter of hours put into it in terms of development.
That's what I'm assuming. So it probably depends on how long our list is.
And so the other, so speaking of cost, the other thing that we have to come up with is, remember last time we talked about, the different departments that are within the town, zoning, planning, the justice, town clerk, and we talked about how each have their own letterhead and each have their own envelopes and stuff. So they don't have an issue taking what they've created and tailor-making it for each of those, if that's what we want. They just need a list of all of those different departments that would need something unique. So if the justice, the court needs its own version of this.
Yeah, in other
Then
words,
they-
the same logo, just.
Correct, they
Town of Champlain
just
Court.
need a list, and they'll click, 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 they'll make anything that we want. So if they want one that's specific for zoning, they'll do it. If you want something specific for the clerk, they'll do that.
We talked about that with Sarah, didn't we, Julie?
Yeah. She thought we just need a basic one.
the standard.
Right.
So
Yeah.
And if it's a
So what's-
template,
how does the board feel about that? Do we really need to?
I think you stay with a template across the board. I think you're gonna minimize cost. It doesn't mean that they have to do anything special on that end in terms of, you know, putting that out there.
Everyone agree?
Yeah,
I
I
did,
think
all I
that's
did was
what
try to
sort
get
of
the
like-
information for you, so they said they'd make
Correct.
whatever you want, so.
You know, as much as I hate to say it, I mean, if we have to change something later on, we can. It's not set in stone. It's better to do it now, but, you know, if something happens, we can always change it, like you mentioned about voiceovers and, you know, maybe cutting or splicing something differently, but the templates seem good for now, and see how it works.
All right.
See,
Good place to
sometimes
start.
you don't know until you.
Yeah, until you start doing it, you just don't know. Yeah,
Okay.
seems like a
And
place
see the
to start.
response you get and.
I guess I'll have a conversation with Janice and Kevin, Mike, make sure they're all good with that.
I personally, I think if you're gonna go with anything different, it's probably the court, because that's almost like it's its own unique branch, and
Yeah.
Own
That-
entity almost.
that might be the one you go with, and then the rest of it all falls under the one that we currently have, and
I agree with that. We'll see where Sarah and Court was. Okay.
So, yeah, I think that summarizes kind of where we're at there. So a lot of updates were, they're really, I got the impression that, we've done a good portion of all the work now. It's just a matter of, they've got a few things they gotta do on their end, and we can start seeing some, I guess, the fruit of our labor. We can actually start seeing the final product coming through.
Anyway,
Let's see.
So not to make this any longer, the first food truck night is coming up at the end of the month. So on Wednesday, April 26th, from 4:30 to 6:30, we're gonna have our kickoff of our food truck events here at the town office, and we'll be hosting Lightning Lardy's Barbecue, and that's on April 26th, from 4:30 to 6:30. Come on down and have Lightning Lardy make dinner for you.
Indulge.
That's right. I think that's all I need to report.
That's a great segue. Thank you, Mr. Bory. Report from the town clerk.
You have my monthly report for approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve the town clerk's monthly report.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any further discussion? Motion carries. Then we have the review of the post-audit bills, the abstract. And the next is approval of monthly bills. We have one addition, I don't know if you guys got copied on that or not.
We did.
Yeah.
Okay, the additional is for Bruce, for the code officer. So the monthly bills with that addition total $50,109.70. Welcome, motion to approve as presented.
I'll make a motion we approve the bills as presented.
I'll second that with questions to
Yep,
follow.
yep, thank you for a second. Any discussion, any questions?
In terms of the fire hydrant signs, where are those 4 signs, where are those placed?
The, did you say 4?
I believe that's what was on there, and I thought it said 40 Smith Street and 9 Garso Road?
The 9 Garso Road,
Fire
correct.
hydrant signs.
they put all of them out, and then Sarah ordered the extras. What page is that on?
I think there were 4, I don't recall, I looked at it online, I'll have to look at the,
I would have assumed it was 4, to be honest with you.
Where's the Garso Road?
It's, off the Dubois Road by the bridge, so,
Okay.
you know, like, take a left,
Mary's
but
Mills area?
take a left on Milton Plant before you go to Paris Mills,
Uh-huh.
and then it's your next left.
Oh, okay.
You gotta become a school bus driver to learn all the roads.
It's so true. Now my husband knows all these roads over in Vermont since he's driving over there.
Well, anyways, Rick, the highway department went out and put all that we had out. and-
Correct.
And then Chris gave Sarah a number of hydrants that were left, and she was supposed to order enough to cover the rest of the hydrants, so I'm not
Mhm.
sure why it was, if she just keyed it that way, because those were a couple of the ones that were done, or were left empty. And I don't know if they put those out yet or not. I'll have to ask.
okay. And the second question I had is in regards to that Momar, there was tar removal that was purchased in the amount of $2,972 and change. Is that something that, in terms of length of time till they would actually use that up, is that purchased ongoing? I guess I'm just not
I'll have
familiar
to
with.
find out, I'm assuming it's drums.
Well, that's what I'm assuming also, but how long does it last, the
Okay.
town, I guess is what I'm looking at. You know, it just seems like a large
Do you
amount.
have a item number on that? So I can circle it and I'll get you an answer and email it to you?
Yep, that one is on page number 5. It is the second one down.
Yep, I see it.
Yep.
I believe that's what they spray on the trucks to get them all cleaned up.
Correct.
Moves all the asphalt from paving, et cetera. But I'll get you an answer on what that one
Okay.
consists of. I'm assuming it's,
Okay, yeah, I found it.
See it?
Yeah, 4 fire hydrant signs,
oh, you found that one?
What
yeah.
page is it at the top, Brian? On corner
Page 3.
3,
Right at the bottom. Right at the bottom, last one on page 3.
So that must be 4 sets, I'm assuming?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'll find out.
But
I'm guessing they come, you know, I found them online the first time, and if I remember, it was, you know, like either 10 to a box or 20 to a box, I can't remember.
Right.
So I'm assuming it's 4 boxes.
And I think part of it, what caught my eyes, is that it's under that type description under E, water repair maintenance. And I'm wondering why it came out of that.
Out of water?
Yeah, it says water repair maintenance next to it.
You're talking about the hydrant signs? They should be out of water.
So,
yeah, that's where they are.
so, that's why I asked about the 4.
Yeah, I'll confirm that, but I'm sure it's either 40 or so.
Yeah, we'll always be able to use them. I mean,
Yeah, if we want, Chris wanted a few extra in case they get broke when,
Right.
which will happen.
Mhm.
Noticed from his inspection, they had one that was destroyed on the Garcelle Road.
anything else?
I don't think there's anything else, just, we're gonna have to keep an eye on, in terms of the amount that we're paying out in legal. We're already beyond what we spent in 2022. So, in terms of budgeting purposes.
Oh, wait a
Last
minute.
year, A fund, was $990, B
Yeah.
fund was $1352. With this, particular report showing that, there is an amount of another $968, that puts us,
I can explain it.
okay,
It's all the solar farms. So that's not out of our budget.
They reimburse us.
They give us money ahead.
Yeah.
So each one has to give us, we're supposed to, according to our solar law, we're gonna have to open that up again soon, probably.
right,
It's 1% of the project cost, so it's actually too much. So if you have a $1.1 million solar farm,
right,
we're looking for $110,000 up front.
right.
Typically, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, but 5,000 is plenty to go through all the legal fees and cover the zoning and the planning and.
But it's also the closing, once that goes through the cycle, correct?
That's part of the decommissioning plan.
Correct. Is that part of it also?
No,
No.
that's
So this
separate.
is strictly just for,
This is up front.
Okay.
When they put the application in, they're supposed to give us a check to cover all the legal fees, and that's what's happening is all those legal fees are having an attorney here for all the zoning and planning meetings for solar. And it makes it look like that's out of the budgeted amount, but
it
it's not.
does, right. Correct.
So we can look at how to clarify that, I guess.
That would be, I think, helpful. Because it's gonna require a legal breakdown,
Yeah,
you know?
Well, it's getting billed separately. Between Julie and Sarah, they are monitoring on how it comes out of each escrow account.
Right, but in terms of the way it's reported, we don't know
In terms of the
that.
way it's reported, yes.
That's correct, we don't know that.
And these other two items, I will email you an answer, not
Okay,
all you
not-
guys.
That's fine. And that's all the questions I have. Sorry to hold everybody up.
No, that's okay. That's what we're here for.
Yep.
Okay, nobody else has any further discussion, roll call please?
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Bory,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye.
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. Thank you, motion carries. Anybody have any questions on the report from the code officer?
Not this one.
Okay, well, I can clarify a couple of things, of course, you gotta remember, this is all March, right? So, and we're a week late in our meetings, so some of this stuff is already behind, but, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and about 10 down, water turn on at Garza Road found curb stop to be sheared off by plow, will need to be replaced and marked in the spring. So I've talked with Chris and Alan, following the road cleaning, we're gonna try to schedule a day. There's actually 4 others that need to be repaired.
Where are those?
I think I wrote this down, hang on, I have to remember them by, well, it's Border View, grocery,
That is a busy place.
yeah,
Oh,
the
really?
credit union, of course, these things get hit by plows is what happens.
Right.
Credit union, the old Walmart,
Okay,
Mhm.
3, maybe 4 was the one here on
Okay.
Garso Road. So that's gonna be done, and then down here, I just wanna add to this, I wanna clarify to the board, so he's got a paragraph on bulleted item, loss of pump function at Dubar Road Lift Station.
that's the one.
Yeah, he had to reprime several times, et cetera, et cetera. Then he goes down, of course, this is from March, has since been fixed and operating correctly. Control panel was upgraded and all work in the station is completed. That is not true. We have one pump still down. It's still down because there's a vacuum pump that is losing vacuum and can't close the switch to turn the pump on. Called Kester, they're aware of that. Number 2, we quote in our proposal, we asked for a new wall-mounted heater. Never got installed. They put a little floor-mounted heater inside the box. Yeah, I know, I'm not happy. Number 3, there is a check valve that was supposed to be replaced as part of the project. It still is not in. So in our communications with Kester, as soon as the check valve's in, they're gonna come back and complete everything. So payment will be held until that happens.
Good idea.
We paid them part,
A
partly,
down
correct?
payment, yeah,
Yes.
there's a down payment.
So-
We still owe quite a bit of money on that.
Okay,
So no, it will not be paid till it's complete.
nor should it.
So, not real happy, not sure what we can do about it, other than hope that it gets completed this time. I guess that's about it. Way down at the end, the proposed solar farm review setback from residential is not correct, needs to be 150 feet. That was That was one, the application hasn't been even submitted yet. So to give you an idea where that is the 100-acre parcel bordering Prospect and Hayford Roads, in other words, directly west from the golf club. Yeah, that's proposed to be all solar.
For real.
Yeah, for real. And I just had another email in today for another one on Rapid Road, which I think that's gonna be number 8.
So when are we gonna revisit this solar code?
Yeah, I know. that's what I'm
Quick.
saying.
It seems like we're getting inundated.
I don't know if you wanna discuss
Yeah.
that now or not, but I'm concerned, I think we did a good job, but in hindsight, we should have did overlays. We talked about it, if you remember that, Rick, when we were building that solar law, we talked about doing overlays over our zoning map,
Right.
saying, you can put it here, you can
Right.
put it here, and
Right.
here, that's it.
And we just identified roads and we identified distance and we
I
didn't.
don't think we dreamt, because we, at that time, they were trying to stay close to the main transmission line, the main 3-phase transmission. Now they're
Not
going-
anymore.
Not anymore. Not anymore, they're running their lines to get to wherever they gotta go. So I'm concerned about that 22 acres of Miramar property I now have scheduled for housing. That one worries the hell out of me. So the only way, I've talked to Tom Renane about it, and I've talked to Monica about it, and we've got 2 choices. We either zone, go in and open up the law and zone them out of all of IC1, but if I do that, I'm gonna kill a couple projects that
Already started, yeah.
are good. And we're already in the works with, we haven't, I don't wanna knock them out there. So I think the best thing to do is to revise the zoning law and do the overlays.
Be safer.
It would be. I can tell you that Sarah's gonna have some heartache over that, because that's gonna cost, probably by
Correct.
the time the code writes that and bills us.
It might be 24.
It might be 24,
Right.
seriously. It might be the next budget.
So would River Street be the company that we would consider bringing back in to kind of assist us with that, or we will put that out to bid, or it shouldn't be large enough, I don't know.
I would say we'd have to put it out to, I don't know, I guess should get an idea of whether River Street wants to throw those overlays on there and give us a price, and
Right.
if it's small enough,
Right.
we don't have to go out to bid. That's probably the way to go,
True.
since they completed the last one,
That's what I'm
right?
thinking. They've got a lot of the information, which I think would be less costly than putting.
Than starting over.
Correct. Yeah.
Is that something the board wants me to start working on?
I think you should look at it.
Well,
That's my own
do-
opinion.
Do you agree that 22 acres, I don't want somebody getting a hold of that?
I agree.
It's too critical.
I agree.
Definitely.
All right, so I'll try to get some information for next month. And that's the way,
Like opening
that's the
up
way
a can
Tom
of
Dean
worms.
thought we should go as well.
Yeah.
He said doing this, the easiest thing to do is just amend it again.
Yeah, it's not as time consuming.
It'll take a couple of months.
Yeah. But we could have it done this year, so Sarah can find the fine stuff.
Well, I think that the majority of the cost is gonna happen when it gets written into code. And typically, they've been, quite a ways behind us. Is that true, Julie?
Right now, we're current, except for what we passed this year.
Right, exactly, that's what I'm saying, so if we were to
But we've
pass
got
this,
the new dog law that
We
that's
got the
gonna,
noise ordinance, we got the
Noise.
dog law, we've got,
right,
Updates to water.
and I
updates to
mean,
the
we
water.
just updated
Mhm.
for the solar, and now we're gonna change it already?
Well, I'm not sure we thought that they could look at any available parcel and land we had in the town and start putting up solar farms. I'm not
Right.
sure
Jump on it.
I'm not sure anybody anticipated that.
Correct. Correct.
no, we didn't, and we also didn't anticipate it'd be such a volume so fast, because we were under the assumption, or the hope, that we'd have our comp plan completed
Yeah.
and then specifically zone things according to that plan.
Well, and also, I guess each of us probably has our own visions, but I would have foreseen the actual vision for the Hayford Road near the golf course to be something different,
Yes,
Me too.
I completely agree with you.
you know, but that's me.
Yeah,
I
like, it
took
may,
the words
it
right
may
out of
be,
my mouth.
When
It's
I
not
think
just
about
you, it's-
older people willing to invest in a community that's, you know,
Yes.
offers an awful lot with a golf
I-
course across the road,
I envision that to be housing someday.
I do.
I didn't think we'd get that accomplished in this 4 to 8 years, but I saw it
Before
in the
all-
future.
It seems
all
like a
your
good
doors
fit for
gray.
that, that's exactly it, completely agree,
Yeah.
completely agree.
Now you're looking at 100 acres of solar panels. I think it's a little under 100 acres, I think it's 90 something, but it's pretty huge.
And the sad thing is, the board can't really deny it, the way our law is.
correct, right.
They
And
can't.
it might be even something we need to consider in terms of EDU assessments also, in terms of,
Well, you have.
not
added
just,
that.
right, but in terms of the two classifications or categories, I'm talking in terms of now, as far as, you know, what's,
Broadly.
yeah, the actual amount of, you know, square footage that it's,
Well, that one there is actually, it's even more convoluted because in order to meet the community solar requirements, they are gonna be asking to subdivide it into 4 lots, and there'll be 4 projects.
okay? All right, well, I see a little bit of glimmer of light, but still, I think there was a better reason for that, that probably could be used for, but. So we gotta try to cut down from that occurring in the future,
Yeah, I know.
so.
It was on my list to talk to you guys about, because I feel the same way. So we'll look at it, find out what that's gonna cost, whether we can swing it or not. Jody, I finally got to you, I'm sorry,
Yeah, you're fine.
for part A.
This is very interesting, so.
So, report from the dog control officer, does anybody have any questions for Jody since he's right here?
Do you hear back from the county sheriff when they're referred to them? Do they
Yes.
update you?
I work a lot with Deputy Bayshard, Sergeant Prey, Sergeant Holland. There's a new deputy that they've hired that's doing a lot with dog control now. It's becoming an issue throughout the county, actually. The town-
Dangerous dogs.
Dangerous dogs. The big one on the market right now is animal cruelty.
Oh.
Well, the SPCA at today's count, because I just got done doing animal cruelty charge for Plattsburgh, is their fault. And it's all animal cruelty. The problem with animal cruelty is when the dogs are taken, they are held in there as evidence. Since they're held as evidence of the cruelty, they can't be adopted out or returned to the owners until the case is solved.
Settle. Oh,
And these cases can go months,
Oh, yeah.
oh, boy.
because there's appeals, and then there's delays. People have a tendency of not taking the issue seriously and not showing up for court, and then the sheriffs have to go out and subpoena them.
Mm.
So, animal cruelty itself is a misdemeanor. In reference today's case, there's 8 misdemeanors being filed against this individual. Yeah, and it's not hard to get,
Oh, my God.
and most people do not realize, once this goes that far, how serious the event is. You can, an animal cruelty charge can actually involve child protective services. It can involve adult services. If the house is not suited enough for animals, it's usually not good enough for children, endangered adults, or specialized needs for people who have disabilities. So, this gets very complicated very quickly. And one of these categories can drag the other 3 or 4 right into it. I've been called by a code officer before in a different town, because he went there for a code violation, and he was walking through cat feces. And he, okay, there's that issue. The other thing that worries me is in the new Article 7, which is New York State's
Ag and market.
ag market, it's an overseen article that covers a lot of territory. They are now specifically starting to mention cats, which it worries me that they're warming up to inform the towns that you are not only going to have a dog control officer, you're gonna have a cat control officer. And Champlain, Chazy, and Beekman all have a serious issue with cats coming out of the city.
Overpopulation.
Overpopulation, and
Just
the
feral.
old adage is, oh, there's a farm, put the cat there, it's
Right.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, feral cat.
And cats are social creatures, they will follow each other.
Yes.
So you ask anybody who has a farm, you get one cat, it's not long before you have 3 or 4.
Well, they
Yeah.
procreate so
Not
quickly.
forever.
Their cycle is just,
Yeah, a female cat can cycle 2 times a year. The other issue with a female cat is they have been known to go out of cycle. And if they are exposed to a viable tom, they will recycle very quickly. So they do produce young quickly.
well, then we
And-
probably do need a cat officer. You know? It-
You
I
can.
think we got problems now.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be a hornet's nest, because there's no restrictions on cats, and they've just gone crazy.
I know, I don't know how you possibly control it.
You got people in both villages that feel that feeding feral cats is a kind thing to do. And what they're actually doing is they're dragging in skunks, raccoons, and other opossums. And then I get the call, say, I have a possum underneath myself, come and get him. No, there's a guy in Black's gonna do that for you, but he's gonna charge. And with these wild animals coming to the villages, you are increasing your chances of rabies
Rabies.
and other diseases.
Yeah, exactly.
There's, I don't know, I would like to talk to you later about it, Tom. There was a case in Champlain that I'd like to find out more information about if possible. Has anybody on the board heard anything about Pulvar being in Champlain?
A what?
I said it wrong.
Parvo?
Parvo.
Yes, okay. Yep. No, I've
I
not
have
heard.
not.
I have not.
No, I haven't heard of it.
I heard it that
But
day, there
I'll
was
tell
a
you
Parvo
what, that's
case in
one thing that
Champlain.
Mhm.
strikes fear in my heart,
That's a
Parvo.
scary thing.
Yes, because it's not only mutable to dogs, it's
Correct.
cats
Yep.
and people.
Yep.
And that stuff gets root, it's hard to get rid of. And it's got a high,
But we have no fact, though, just.
we had no fact,
for
that's
the
why I
camera,
didn't
we
know.
make it clear, I have no fact in that, no, I haven't heard that.
Well, maybe
So if you find anything out factual, let us know.
I have put out feelers to the health department and other people
Okay,
to see. But right now, none of the troopers or the sheriffs have heard anything, so that's good,
okay. This is that information.
hopefully.
Hmm.
Not to mean to jump off the track, but just give you a heads up on that one.
Okay. Anything else for Jody on the report? So if not, we'll move ahead to get that dog out here. Under correspondence to the zoning board minutes. We have the EMS report. So total calls this year, 399. That was as of the end of March. 6,363.2 loaded miles. Average response time for the year, 1.86 minutes. I commend our EMS for that. That's, to me, that's amazing. This is a big town.
it is.
This is just one piece of the CDC information regarding National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey for your information. And now new business. You're copied with quotes for our outside restrooms for the parks, the porta potties. So you've got three different costs here per month. We all agree to stay with the lowest price
$90,
for T&L septic.
yeah.
Okay. We don't require a motion on that, do we? It's on the
We
business.
should.
We should, yes. Okay, so we'll contract with T&L Septic. I just need a motion to do so in a second. And since it's money, we'll do a roll call.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Vorey,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Okay,
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. Motion carries, thank you. Price for recycling services, so what this is, I hope you've had time to digest it a little bit. First of all, do we want to start recycling? Currently, everything goes in the trash,
I think he keeps the metal though separate,
only the metal,
yeah.
only steel, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's money for that, and
Yeah, as far as, everything else, cardboard, newspapers, et cetera, like all the boxes, everything, corrugate, all goes in the trash. So the question's been raised a couple times, I mean, I remember raising it when I first came here. So Sarah got quotes here from Casella, and we need to know if you wanna go there or not. Right now, it's $105.42 per month for just the trash container. It's an 8-yard trash. So if we went to 2 4-yard containers, it would be $134 plus tax monthly, which comes up to $408 a year more. Or, we could do that and see just how much recycling we actually collect, okay? And after a few months, if that 4-yard recycling isn't full every month, and it's quarter full, we could do an on-call, as you can see, which would be a $20 rental fee charged every month, and then when they come to pick it up, it's $88.40. That could save a lot of money depending on how much recycling we're doing. So the major question to the board is, do we want to go there to try to recycle and not add so much stuff to landfills?
just with all the different departments we have here and all the different people coming in, I don't know how successful you're gonna be to keep it separate. I mean, the courts coming in, people to see Julie, people to see you, code enforcement, you've got a lot of different people, and who's gonna be responsible for policing the recycling
What's
business?
up there?
You're
You're right.
It is, somebody's gonna have to be the recycling police.
Yep.
And-
So that's within the offices though, okay? So
Yeah, but I mean, people come into the offices, that's the thing, you don't know, they come in here, use the boardroom. Who knows
Yes,
what
if
they.
we had big recycling things and big labeled things, and then you might
Right.
encourage people to put them where they belong, because a lot of times it's ignorance to it.
I don't suppose
But
back.
I think we'd have to have like 2 containers.
we would,
Instead of a garbage, you have a garbage and blue recycling container.
different colors, proper labeling,
Yeah.
But then it's who empties them?
that's right.
Who empties the recycling? Currently, we have staff that comes in and does the garbage.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think we pay them over $700 a month, right? So,
So
I think they can do
you
it.
think they could bring the recycling to the
I
recycling
think they
dumpster?
can.
But- So why don't we table this and I get the answer to that question?
Yeah, and I'm curious, the 4-yard trash bin, is it something, but you don't know, it's 8-yard for the Casella. So I'm wondering if that 4-yard would be big enough, how much of the recycling are we,
Yeah, well,
you know, are we
it
really,
looks-
if half
it looks-
of, if half of what we dispose of recyclable? If not,
at
that 4-yard is
times,
gonna be
at
enough.
times it is. At times that I've gone out there, it's mostly cardboard out there.
Cardboard, like how much paper is thrown away.
You know, boxes from parts that come in,
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
shop, all that stuff, and they don't break it
They don't
even
break it down,
They
and
don't
that's the
break it
problem
down.
there.
So the 8-yard is typically quite
Correct.
full with that stuff. I believe Sarah's already, you know, talked to Alan on his input and the size of the,
What did he
Container.
think? What did he think?
I thought that the result of that was fine, but we will revisit it.
Yeah, I don't see a problem, you know, there's no hurry, we've got the time, we can look at it, because changing garbage
It's a
company.
big commitment.
It really is a big commitment, I mean, I know, you just, a lot of people just don't care, they throw
Believe
it
in
in
it,
the closest
yeah.
container, they
I
don't,
agree, but then
Somebody's gotta sort it.
there's also the other side where, well, we gotta give it a try, right, instead of just filling the landfill.
If you don't try it, you won't know.
True.
And I think
Can
you
always
gotta
go
think
back.
about future generations, so.
Mhm.
I do, but a lot of that stuff they pick up to recycle doesn't get recycled, because the price is too low, you know, it doesn't always get recycled.
That is true too.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember was it Casella's or another one?
Well, what happens is they can, a percentage of it they can't sell, I mean, they get, you know, they don't, there's not enough market for 100%,
Uh-huh, oh,
you know. So some of it does end up in the landfill if that quota's met. I agree, I understand that, that's the nature of that beast. So why don't we, welcome a motion to table this, we'll put it on old business, and I'll get some
more firm,
some answers.
Okay, I motion to table this for the time being.
I'll second that, till we get more information.
Yep.
All in favor?
Hi.
Opposed, motion carries. Very good. Okay. Information from Matt Cooper regarding Champlain Sewer District 7 project development. Have you had time to look at that? And I can probably add a little bit in regards to, so I copied you on the email with what needs to be done in order to be considered project ready, because we missed that round of, was it WIA, I think it was, the WIA grant?
Correct.
And I asked why, and it's because, what does not being project ready mean? And this is what it means, you have to have all these things in place. So, you know, Sarah's telling me that, you know, this is, we can't keep spending money when we're finishing our other projects and jumping into others. So
Correct.
She's getting nervous about
Well, based upon
costs.
these estimations, it's $15,000.
Yeah,
I thought it was 19, did I miss that? I probably missed
oh,
that.
for the other, yeah, for the other applications.
I don't know.
It would be 4,000 each, that would give you the extra 19,000.
Yeah, but whatever. So I emailed Matt with that worry, okay? And he came back with, and this just came back today. So he would suggest that we at least get started with some of the project readiness steps that apply for the WQIP this year if the town can swing the cost. It would include seeker at $3,500, map, plan, and report $4,000, WQIP application $2,000, that totals $9,500. So, you know, I asked him, what's the repercussions of waiting till next year for this? And he said, I feel like any missed funding round is missed opportunity, but it's difficult to quantify the repercussion of missing this round, because we don't know what the next round would look like. So I see two things you can do, so it's up to the board. The 9,500 could be done, it would have to come out of general A fund balance. Because there's not enough money in this year's budgeted lines, okay? In other words, it would normally come out of the contingency budget line item. There's only 15,000 in it, and I've got this to talk to you about, this came in today. That's probably $4,000 or $5,000 sitting there that has to get done for Champlain landfill. I got blindsided by that thing. So if we were to do it, it would have to come out of that fund balance, which then does not have to be paid back until the grants are issued and the project starts, and then the grants pay it back.
If we get the grants.
If we receive it.
Yeah, if we don't get any grants, then we're gonna have to pay that back, like out of next year's budget, for example. Or, I'm not sure the answer to that, actually. I know that when you pull money from a general fund for a project like this to apply for grant funding, it doesn't have to get paid until the project starts. Like when the water project was done, I'm assuming that you must have borrowed some money out of that fund balance to do that, and that's one of the line items that, when that project starts, it's supposed to pay that back right off the bat. I don't know what the answer to that is if it doesn't happen.
I'm just concerned that we don't have a lot of input from the people who would be paying for this in the
Correct.
sewer district.
Where's the cost benefit?
Yeah.
Yep.
We don't know the cost benefit, and plus,
And
I
there was
think we
a,
need some input from the people that would be paying this project, the people in that district on Route
Yeah.
11.
right, and we had talked about doing a
Survey.
survey.
Correct. And so I would recommend that we kind of move in that direction first,
Yeah.
gather that information and before we move forward. And it's something that, I know it's gonna take maybe a couple of months, but at least you know, moving forward, you have an idea in terms of where people stand.
So basically, the only thing we do in that survey then is give them a projected cost based off this estimated annual user cost.
That's all you can go off of. Yeah.
So it was somewhere between $73 and $100 a month, estimated.
It could be more,
Oh, it will be more.
yeah. I know.
Always is, right?
You know,
So no motion required on this. I'm just going to let him know that we are going to hold this until
We seek information from
we
you.
seek information, and we'll go forward from there. So I'm not sure, how do we handle that survey then?
Can we send it out through the water bills?
Well, we just did water bills.
Yeah, but,
It'd be the next quarter, it wouldn't be till July.
All right.
well, we still have a mailing list, I mean, I
Correct.
wouldn't be that,
But it's not gonna be really, where's this project going? It's not everybody in that district now, not in the current district now.
Not everybody, no.
No.
We have to pick out,
So we have to go through the list of
We'd have to go
within
through the
those
list.
areas and determine.
yeah,
but it's a doable thing, I mean, it's not.
because it starts right here, basically at the red light,
Right.
Well, I personally
When's-
don't think you should put it in with
the bill should be
the
separate.
bill, it should
I
be
agree,
separately,
separate.
because a lot of people probably wouldn't look at it if it went in with the
Yeah.
You're
bill.
right,
So it should be something done separately.
correct.
So it'd be a survey letter
Mhm.
Explaining the proposed project
Correct.
in order, and why, and then these project costs. Is that something you'd want to help with, Rick?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Is there,
we would-
what kind of timeline are we looking at in terms of the WIA grant in the future? I mean,
That this one is gonna, the applications are typically due in July.
right. So that's what I'm wondering, we don't have a lot of time, but I think we have time if we get moving on it, you know, within the next couple of weeks.
It's usually end of July, so,
And we
Well,
really need to get feedback from those constituents, so.
The other grants typically do in September. There's 3 grants actually that we're looking
yeah,
at.
but the one he's trying to get in for is a WQIP,
Right.
water quality improvement.
Okay, that's
I
July,
forget what
but
he
he,
is.
but he's also looking for the other one too. That's part of the
Mhm.
package he's put together.
And at the same
Well,
time, I
well,
think you can,
on the second package, though, for 9,500, it was just a WQIP application. So at the least, he's saying to do that, to have project readiness. So we'd have to get that letter out like soon in order to get feedback.
And I'm willing to help Rick.
Yeah, because it says the WQIP is due in July, the other one is due in September.
Correct.
Yeah, there's 3 grants in there.
so how do we determine who in fact is receiving this benefit?
We're gonna have to weed that out of the list. So in other words, it's South Street. And, you know, you might wanna point that out there, that we have some serious, septic deficiencies along the river on
Correct.
South Street. That's why I see it important, was to try to correct that.
Right.
Because remember, right, we had these talks, and I asked, what if we did just that project? And
Mhm.
we can, but we'll be borrowing the money for it. Because it's too small to go out and get what we were told.
Right.
And if we do it all together, we're gonna get bigger funding. So I think you need to stress that. The other thing would be to get sewer to, the Route 11 district, especially the portion that, you know, where water station's going, et cetera, where you see a CDC sign by Tractor Supply, where sooner or later, something's gonna hit there, we've got no plate for it to tie into. I think there's, you know, we need to stress the need for thinking about that in the near future. It's
Yeah.
not 10 years down the road, it's much less.
His figures are only for Rouse's Point sewer. It doesn't include Champlain at all.
It's all going to Rouse's Point, because Rouse's Point gave us a much lower cost.
But your gravity fed to the
No,
village of
it's a
Champlain,
pre-
once you hit
No,
two seventy-six,
it's a force pressure system, the
okay,
one that we were choosing.
all right.
So it's
Because I
not
was looking
gravity,
about-
it's all force line or force pressure, I forget what they call it.
And
Forced.
I was looking, it said, I believe it said gravity, somewhere in there I read it, but I
Well,
don't know.
there was two different versions. and-
Right.
And the force main, the force main was was the less expensive, so when you go to this cost sheet, that should be low pressure collection system, the village of Rouse's Point, that's the force main. That's alternate number 1. You'd have to go to the report to look at the other alternates. So anyways, as we craft that survey, we gotta, make sure we're pointing out the reasons why, that we feel it's necessary to seriously look at it. Otherwise, we won't get honest feedback. And a survey's not 100% either, you're not gonna get everybody. I forget what the statistics are, but it's like a 70% chance of getting good numbers, or 60.
60%. But at least it gives you a pretty good understanding in terms of, and it also, you know, you can have the discussion with Sarah as far as how that works with these funds, whether or not, you don't have to pay it back until the grant. I don't know, I don't remember.
I think we're gonna have to check with the comptroller's office on that, to be sure.
Okay.
Yeah, they always have a say in that.
I'm pretty positive Sarah was agreed, so I think she was quite sure too, but I don't know the exact answer to what if we don't get enough grant funding and we don't even go forward with it? What happens to the money that was spent?
Right, that's the biggest question.
Yeah, that's the one I want the
Yeah.
answer to. So I'll find that out. And,
Okay.
you know, draft something up and we'll try to get it approved, and Julie, maybe you and I can try to figure out how to pick out the parcels.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that part's,
I don't think it'd be too bad.
No, I don't think so either. Should be.
Okay, so moving on then.
yep,
Quote from Kester for Dubois Road Lift Station. So they sent us this. Last time they came here and did work on it, which they didn't finish. Apparently they pulled the pumps to have a look at them, and Chris wasn't even aware. So they pulled them, we've got photos. I ran these photos by Mickey and Chris.
okay.
I mean, you can see some wear on the impeller, but it's, you know, Mickey's like, oh my God, I've seen worse than that. So, that's a quote.
You must have been in the Navy.
And, so I contacted John West, who was the technician that was here that day, and I said, okay, so how bad off is this, how critical is it? And he replied back, it's not critical, it's advisable. We do not have money in that fund to do this,
Surprise.
we don't. That is the smallest sewer district we have, and the one that's in the worst shape, fund balance wise, because there's just too few users. So, I shouldn't say it's the worst one, it's the second worst one. Another reason why I really feel we gotta consolidate, but, I'm suggesting we budget for this somehow for next year. I think we're gonna have to find funds. We're gonna have to hope that the state comes through with that chip-style funding for water and wastewater that Billy Jones wrote a bill on, or something. We're gonna need to find funds for this. Or maybe, I doubt it though, if we were to get lucky and our booster station came in under budget, we'd have a couple thousand left, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Is this SS7? Is this SS7?
Uh,
Or is it 2?
I think it's two.
I think it's 2.
I think it's two. I don't
I
have
don't recall right.
I don't have the information from
I'm trying to
yeah.
think.
Dubois Road, it comes up and it catches, the old truck stop, Miramar,
Right,
McDonald's. Everything on that side, the interstate only, I believe.
So, this is more or less preventative maintenance, so putting it off until next year isn't anything critical.
That's what I was told.
That's what I'm
Advisable.
you know, yeah, advisable, but, I mean, they're just saying it needs to be done at some point. Think about it.
Yeah, so we just.
but they give you an idea in terms of, like, how long they think that this can
Hold up.
correct. I mean, you got corrosion there, but it doesn't look like it's, but again, I'm not an engineer.
And what'd they give us for those terms? I don't think it says that, does it?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, I didn't give you,
Yeah, I didn't think it did. No, that's why I called it, that's what it was about, and it was advisable.
yeah, you definitely can't do anything in there.
So I'll have to talk to Sarah on how we're supposed to prepare for that, minus any funding.
Right,
Now, what do? Do we have to increase rates slightly to try to build a little money?
you can't get state funding, and then the question is how soon do you get state funding to? And then how much is this gonna increase by? You're looking at a 3% increase in terms of
Yeah, probably,
service,
probably 3 to 5%.
3% for the service anyway.
I'd say
I don't know for
5%.
parts.
Well, we've added 10%. It's not a large amount, so.
Right.
Instead of 8,000, it's 9.
Right, another $750, yeah.
So, I'll get an answer on that one, okay?
Okay.
So, I don't think we need to table that. Resolution sent to Governor's Office regarding New York Housing Compact, that is,
This one. You missed the AES,
Yeah,
Did
yes,
I?
northeast.
the AES Northeast. For the booster pump skid.
Yeah, with Emmer.
yeah, you're right, I'm sorry, I checked off the wrong one. Recommendation from AES Northeast, report for booster pump skid, hydromatic tanks. And it also reflects that quote from Emmerich, okay, so what that's about, I've spent a lot of time on the phone the last 2 days, and emails, going back and forth. So, if you remember in the report that Jennifer Weeks did for us here, you guys read that? So she proposed that the best pump skid to go with was the Franklin Electric Duplex VR Spec Pack, correct?
Say that 5 times fast.
And then she kind of leaned on the Frank P. Hanley Wessel's FXA 1400 steel tanks, but somewhere in here she added that she really felt poly is the way to go. And I think some of that might have been emails. So here's where we're at. I have a quote for the booster station, which her and Brad have approved. Remember she had questions, there was a few items missing, specifications that she was questioning. They've added them. They upgraded an option for NEMA 4 drives, upgraded the HMI touchscreen, all for the same price. And I have a new updated submittal, which I forwarded to Joel at Pipeline, because he's looking to get started to plan this work. So let's take this one piece at a time. So on this particular quote, it's for $26,995 total, and that's for the booster station.
That's Emmerich Associates.
Yeah,
Correct.
it's called Franklin Electric Booster Skid VR Spec Pack.
Okay, that's.
You put it on that
It's
third
from-
page.
It's from Emmerich Associates.
This one there.
Yeah, yeah.
I should have sent you that.
Yep, you got that.
Yeah.
And then she-
Yes, yeah.
And
It was
it's actually-
essentially the second round with there.
Yeah, yes,
With
it's
your
coming back
package.
to me now.
There's an asterisk next to it. On page 2.
Okay. So that would be so I could order that tomorrow for sure. This has a, I wanna say it
What were
was
their other questions what we had for that?
6
I
to
don't
8,
remember.
6 to 8 week lead time on this.
Is it that long?
Yeah, flip a coin. It's,
Yeah,
you order it, and when it comes, it comes.
yeah. So I mean, that's why I've been pushing to try to get this settled so we can get this stuff ordered.
Yeah.
And the woman, Jennifer, she was the expert that was,
She
we're
was the
paying
principal
to give
engineer.
us the,
She's one
her
of her,
considered opinion about what we should be.
yes, we hired her to
Good,
write this report right here.
because it's, pretty much Greek to me. So I'm glad we have somebody that.
We can count on.
And then, yeah, and they're good whack, because it's way over mine.
Well, that's why we hired her, cause I couldn't,
Well, who could? I mean,
I
that's
couldn't
your, that's
specifically
your
do it either.
field. It's very, very specific.
Yeah, and there was something I read there, that the training's included in the,
Training who?
Our guys how to maintain it.
yeah, startup and training would be provided to people
Good.
in the town, so.
Taxes aren't included, we
No.
shouldn't have any.
that's true.
And
Yeah, startup and training are included in the proposal.
I'd be interested to see what that training includes. You know, cause sometimes it's very superficial training, and then they're gone, and then you're like, oh, no, we're gonna charge you to come back and give you that additional training. So
Well,
it'd be nice
maybe
to
we
know.
ask for everything in writing,
You're welcome to come to
so
the
they
training.
can,
I'm retired now, I could do that.
That's what I said.
As long as I don't get hired to do it.
So anyways, I'll make a motion that we purchase this from Emmerich Associates. It's the Franklin Electric Booster Skid VR Spec Pack, recommended from ABS Northeast.
for 26,000.
Item number 2 on her report, under booster skids. And yes, it came in at $26,995,
Okay.
which was actually lower than the first.
I think it's lower than the other four, if I remember when I.
Yeah, it is the
that
lowest
other-
one. It's the lowest
It's the
one.
lowest out of the group.
Lowest out of the group, luckily.
Wow, that's a little bit of glimmer of good news.
Now, second to lowest, there was a quantum flow out of from Gartner, it was $19.99. That was not,
I don't think it met the specs though.
it did not meet the specs.
And
So
the
it's the
high
second
end was
one
like
lowest.
60,000.
But still, it's $6,700 under the estimated cost per the project manual.
So far.
Yes, it's one item.
Without the doodads.
Yeah. Just
So far.
everything's gone up. It's just-
Oh my gosh.
So anyways, I'll put a motion out to approve this. If somebody would second it, we'll get discussion.
I will
on the floor.
second it.
And so,
Thank you, now we can
and so we have the
discuss.
funds for this moving forward though.
Yes,
And this is, just to make sure.
And it's gonna come out of what fund?
it's from the ARPA.
Yeah, I know, I'm trying
The,
COVID money,
to. Correct.
ARPA, ARPA, American
res-
Rescue,
Okay,
whatever, it's COVID.
all right, now you can continue with your motion. I just wanna make sure we.
And that's the Emmerich Associates, again, that's the one, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
the one.
Yeah, that's
I just
the
wanna make
sheet.
sure we're talking apples to apples,
Yep,
yeah.
that's the one.
So,
No bananas in there.
Yes, please do roll call.
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Bory,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye.
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, now, the tanks, that gets so darn convoluted, you have no idea. So we went out searching because Jen highly recommended we find poly tanks. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
if you notice, all the quotes that came in with the steel
Steel.
tanks.
Yes.
Okay. We finally did. Actually, Brad was a big help in this because we were coming out dry. We tried the vendors that Jen mentioned, and they just didn't want to deal with it. So Brad found Ferguson Water Works in Clifton Park.
Hmm.
So they sent a quote for 2 different sizes. One's a 340 gallon, and that was at $12,753.13 per tank.
How much?
12,750.
Jen emailed back saying we could do, you have a smaller one, which is a 245 gallon, which would suffice. I think it would give us substantial savings. That came in at $11,028.13.
Really not as much difference as I
No.
would have thought, huh?
No.
Yeah.
Well, size matters.
So, that's quite a bit more than the estimated
Right.
project
What we
cost was,
anticipated.
because that was anticipating 18,000 for 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So
You were
when
just
you,
being optimistic, weren't you?
where was that other paper? In comparison to the
Steel?
steel ones, because she had quoted a set of steel. I got a feeling I didn't print that email out.
You know, I would have thought steel would be more.
so we're gonna have to go back and revisit.
Yeah, I don't
The
have
steel,
that.
the steel was less, okay, so the question is, I'm not finding that email. It was like $6,700 savings to go with the steel tank that she recommended in the report. So I don't know if you remember looking at that, when you get to the tanks.
What was the other
She
material?
said that
If it wasn't
less-
steel?
Poly something or other.
Okay, so my question is, as we just looked at those pictures, what kind of lifespan? I mean, probably
This is
beyond our
steel.
lives, but I'm just wondering in terms of people beyond, what's that cost benefit in terms of, you know, you're paying a little bit more for the other, but it's
For
gonna
many
last
more years,
for
yeah.
100 years
Right.
versus,
Well,
that's what I'm
the
at.
question she never answered me was, I posted an email saying, okay, so if the poly lifetime is twice the steel tanks we have now are over 30 years old and haven't rotted through. What's the bladder lifetime? What's the difference? They each have rubber bladders. She thinks the bladders are gone on these. So who's to say a bladder and a poly tank won't go in the same time frame?
Yeah, and you never know.
So I think lifetime wise, I don't think there's any difference. So the difference is though, is that the steel would have to be insulated. So I called Joel today for the meeting, that he was at a ball game for his kids. In the morning, he'll let me know what that cost is, because we don't think that was quoted because he was banking on poly tanks. So I need to know what the additional insulation cost is.
They might bring it up.
So it might be better off to go with poly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it might be, at the end of the day, it might be just as well to spend the money on a poly.
Was that $6,700 different savings on both or one tank?
Total.
Total.
I don't know why I don't have that in front of me, but.
She says that they may be able to step down to slightly smaller tank to save some additional cost.
Right, that's where we went from the 340 down to the 245.
Yeah, but I mean for the hydropneumatic pressure tanks,
Yeah,
so.
that's what this quote's about.
The steel, right?
Or the poly, either one, either one. So on the steel, I would have to get a price on the smaller
Right,
one.
because it's changed, or will change.
Which would make the cost savings higher,
Mhm.
because I'm basing on it for
Yep.
340 gallon.
Let's see what Joel says.
Right, but can you give me a up to limit on the money here tonight in this meeting?
Mhm.
And then by email tomorrow, I'll let you know what's going on and we'll just come up with a decision.
So how accurate are
I don't
those
wanna wait
amounts on that
3 weeks.
340 gallon and that 245 gallon?
These here, these are accurate, these are from today,
Okay.
for the poly.
And do we
Okay.
have the money for it?
Yeah, again, yes.
Yeah, that's coming out of that.
COVID money?
Our-
Okay.
Rescue.
Well, I'm thinking, if you
Wasn't
do
enough of
have the
that.
money, my inclination is to go to the poly, because
American Rescue Protection
it
Act, I
wasn't
think.
just her that recommended
That's what
those.
it was. I hate my acronyms. So if we went up to the, what is that, Rick? That, 'cause this-
25.5. If you go with
Doing
a
the
340
340
gallon.
doing the 340 gallon poly.
Right.
And then I'll put together what the difference in costs are, and we'll have to do a consensus on which ones to order. Cause I'll be, either way, it'll go under that price.
Yeah,
I just don't wanna wait 3 weeks, I don't want
No.
any other way to do this.
Well,
I'd like to
yeah.
get these ordered tomorrow if possible too,
Our
or at least the next
summer
day.
is so short to get these things accomplished.
Well, it's just, if you don't get it ordered, it's never gonna get built.
Mhm.
And you can't depend on lead time, you know, like the tanks, they're saying 77 days.
77 days,
Yeah, so again, over 8 weeks.
yeah. Yeah, we should.
So So
I
what's
was
your feeling?
upset
Is
that I
that,
had to wait for a
does
week
everybody
to
agree
get a
with
part for my
possibility of doing
dryer.
that? Moving up to these amounts
I
and
was
then
like, my
I'll get the
dryer.
information on what it costs to insulate the steel and see if I can get a cost on the 245.
Smaller.
What is that one you're holding, the one you just held up?
These are the polys.
Okay, and we don't have that.
I don't think you have that.
We don't.
No, it just came in today.
Okay.
If you wanna see it, I can pass it around.
Yeah, can you just take time
Yeah.
and something?
So what amount are you needing?
What do you want us to go up to?
Up to 25,000?
Actually, it's
Chicken
25.5.
feed.
You wanna see?
In per penny, in per pound.
25.5.
That's what I said. So that's,
To cover the
I wouldn't go higher
two of
than
the
that.
larger polys, which
Right,
we're not even gonna do it.
I would say up to 25.5.
Is that a motion?
That's my motion.
I'll second it.
You got the motion.
Yep.
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Bory,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
All right,
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. And that's for the 2 hydro-pneumatic tanks, just for your motion. For Ridge Booster Station, of course.
Yes, that booster station has been being bandied about for a while now.
Rick, remember those, I'll need those back.
Yeah,
Whenever you
Yep,
guys.
does anybody else wanna see it?
No, it's okay.
You sure you're comfortable with it?
Yeah.
Jason, you good?
I'm so comfortable. I'll be more comfortable in my recliner at home, though. I have a bet going, you know,
What's
Did you
that?
see it
about what
was
time we
some
get out of here.
You do?
Well, if you, I hope you saw the number of items on the new business when you did.
Yeah.
I did. I did. That's why the bet kept going up.
Thank you.
Oh, I owe you a Coke.
Yeah, Jason and I got that too.
I'm trying. I'm trying to keep it moving here. Okay, so those are taken care of.
And that's what my father used to say too. He'd say, oh, you certainly are trying. But he used to say that to my mother.
Okay, so next would be just to formalize the resolution sent to the governor's office regarding New York Housing Compact, which we did via email. And I have all the emails printed here.
Yeah.
So really all I wanna do is make a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll make a
That
motion
was
to approve it.
Approved via email on March 24th, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's what it says here. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's formalized, thank you, motion carries. Jody, we're finally up to resolution for dog law and set public hearing.
We're fine.
So,
I'll be patient.
Jody pointed out that in the dog law, which I don't have a copy of in front of me, I'm sorry, I'm rushing, I wasn't finding it electronically, I'll find it tomorrow. We have a statement in there that the dog cannot be tethered outside for more than 3 hours.
Correct.
I had shared that with the 2 villages and Mayor McFetrich had emailed back asking, what does that 3 hours mean? Is it 3 hours at a time? Is it 3 hours a day? Seriously, I mean, how do you define that? So I ran it by Jody, and Jody thinks it also should be dependent upon breed.
Well, and it's also dependent on whether or not there is an actual
Dog or
shelter that is available for the animal.
They have to have a shelter.
So in other words, for some animals, they're put out on a tether and they're left out there.
Yeah, if you put an animal out on the tether and you do not have proper shelter, food or water for it,
Correct.
That's a cruelty
That's
charge.
cool.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no time limit on that. It's usually dependent on the breed. So if you put a husky out in the middle of winter,
Right,
it's gonna be fine. It can be out there for 3-4 hours and it's gonna be loving the cold.
Could be
Yeah.
out there forever and probably loving it.
Okay.
well, the opposite side of that, if you put a husky out in the summer, and it's 100 degrees,
It's gonna be looking
Then
for
you
water,
have
it's
that.
gonna be looking for a shelter.
correct?
Shade.
So, the 3-hour time limit, it's really immaterial. It really depends on the breed of the dog. Chihuahua can last longer in the heat than a husky could, but a husky can last longer in the winter.
Right,
And then you have the ultimate spectrum is, what happens if you put your dog out there for 3 hours in the middle of a blizzard? Or the middle of a heat wave? Either one of those conditions are not, regardless of breed, acceptable.
Right.
I get a lot of calls from a majority of people who are concerned about, oh, my neighbor ties his dog up at 5 and he goes to work and he doesn't come home at 5 PM and I feel sorry for the dog. In New York State, dogs are property. Property can be handled in a reasonable way by the owner's choice. If the dog is sheltered, dog has water and food, you can keep it out there 365 days a year. It just has to be a proper shelter. So when I get these calls, I go out, with the owner's permission, I look at the shelter.
Sure.
If the doghouse is insulated and the dog's out of the wind, it's fine, as long as he has free flowing water and food. And that's what I will tell the owners. Most cases when that happens, the dog mysteriously ends up in the house. Because people just get nervous and they bring the dog in.
right.
You have some old timers who will not abide by that. They believe that they bought a dog, you tie the dog to the doghouse out front, and there's your early warning sign in case there's trouble. So, you get that conflict. If I were the board, I would strongly consider rephrasing that to represent breed in that statement. That way it gives me and other dog control officers coming after me the liability to say, okay, listen, that's a husky, it's winter, you don't have to worry about it. Or, that's a Saint Bernard, it's the middle of summer, that poor dog's gonna be suffering.
Correct.
It's a common sense stop for the dog control officer. It
So
gives him the choice.
The judge.
So I could see actually changing the verbiage on that. The question now becomes, how do you categorize breed? So in other words, is it up to the interpretation of the dog control officer?
I would say so.
Okay, so then we can change it.
Yeah.
That's a quick change.
So I'm recommending we just add to that,
Yeah,
to say
Okay.
dependent upon breed,
Mhm.
shelter conditions.
and
Whether-
breed is,
have a
breed is
shelter.
dependent upon the interpretation of the dog control officer.
Yeah.
Shelter,
Okay,
proper
yeah, I can
water.
do that. Yep.
Okay,
That's easy enough.
so I think we can still
Move forward with this.
Mhm.
because we're gonna revise it prior to the public hearing.
Yeah, I'll get that out tomorrow to you.
Okay, now,
Was
the
there
other
another-
article I would like to address with this is the noise, the barking complaints.
Mhm.
Barking is, again, subjective. What some people consider a problem, other people consider just a dog acting like a dog.
Right.
In the new Article 7, supplied to me by Janet Coyer, who's the ag market specialist that oversees dog control, there's no barking complaints.
So-
They've been sort of moved to noise ordinance.
Right, which we do have in our noise ordinance.
Right, so
Did
you
you get
can.
a copy of that? I can't remember.
Did you get a copy of the noise?
No, I did not.
ordinance?
It has
We can get them a copy.
no nuisance barking, and it describes it as consistently more than 15 or 30 minutes, I can't remember.
Mhm.
Um,
I'll get you a copy of this.
So it is addressed in there.
Right.
That would give you what you need, right?
Well, if it's in a noise ordinance, it
Then it goes to
really
the code
falls
officer.
to the code officer then.
Correct.
Now, I can go out with the code officer and we can, compare the situations, saying, why is the dog barking? Well, you put this dog next to a playground and the kids are playing over there, the dog
Excited, yeah.
wants to play with the kids. He's just barking to get attention.
'Cause I don't think
Or,
it should live in both places, correct? You
Huh?
weren't, I don't think it should live in both
it
documents.
should not live in both
Okay,
places.
good. I
It
thought
should,
that's what
it
we
should
wanted.
stick to the noise ordinance. That gives law enforcement also the opportunity to weigh in on that. A lot of these barking complaints inadvertently go to state troopers or the sheriff's department, and they have to kick it back to me. And that shuffle, it gets lost. But if the law enforcement can work on it as a noise complaint, thank you, sir, they can then address it immediately.
Is it about distances
Right.
from, like, say
So
the
I've
barking
got a
dog
final
and
version
the
of dog
neighbor
law.
or the?
Yeah.
Following.
No,
Because I would think if you
minor
have
things
neighbors
from Matt
far
Farrell
away,
and from
they're hardly
somebody
hearing
else,
them.
typos that were taken care of. So
If
maybe if
you
we could just do that
had-
paragraph, I could put it in there and resend it to you. So we don't have to end up with two documents.
How
I
to
don't end up
explain
with a
this?
draft version and then,
I'm not sure, I'm not following you.
well, when I sent that draft out
Um,
to the attorney.
Right.
To legal.
The
there was a couple
barking
minor
is
things that pointed out.
subjective.
I changed them. I found,
Oh, yeah.
I think.
So can you send me your
And
copy?
that,
Yeah.
Send me your copy,
Okay.
is the best
Some
way to do
people
I
it.
got-
turn a normal
I get
one
people who will
into
call
a-
up and say, I can hear their dog barking 3 houses down through my window, or my closed windows. And I'm saying, no, that's one big problem, because if you have a halfway decent insulated house, you should not be able to hear a dog
No.
barking 3 houses down. Especially when I get down there and I find out it's a chihuahua. It's like, you know, what happens is, they don't like their neighbor, they get in an argument with their neighbor,
Right,
and every time they walk outside, they hear that dog, and it aggravates them. So they go in the house, and they're still hearing the dog, even though they're not hearing the dog.
right.
That is part of where the noise ordinance comes in. It gives, like I said, law enforcement the ability to address an issue. I have a incident in Rouse's Point right now, where the guy, well, he's just started dropping him off at the town office. He's got a pack of complaints like this. Literally from April 6th to April 10th, he's filed a complaint every day. And I've been to that house every day, and those dogs bark when they come in the driveway, and by the time I get to the house, they stop. That's 5 minutes.
Right,
That is not what he's
Unreasonable.
describing.
yeah,
I've driven by with my windows down, I do not hear the dogs. The house is literally next to the Rogers Point garage. The men in the garage don't get the dogs to bark because the dogs are used to them.
right.
My guess is for some reason this guy is hypersensitive to barking dogs. And when they run their fenced off area, which their area is completely fenced off, they bark, and he files a complaint. He's filed complaints with the noise, code officer for noise, he's filed complaints with me at the same exact time. We were just talking about it 3 days ago on the phone. The complaint he gave me for dog bark is the same complaint he gave the noise officer. So,
Yeah, that, Jody, is in section 3B, right
mhm,
on the first page, section 3B, letter B.
mhm.
Noise from a dog or other pet animal that is continuous or exceeds 15 minutes.
Right.
So that's a little too much.
15 minutes,
Continuous.
It's a long time.
it's a long time.
It is, and if you're somebody that
You're trying to
doesn't,
sleep,
let's say,
yes,
correct,
certainly.
and let's say you work, at the hospital, and you've gotta go in at,
Yeah,
so-
yeah, and you're right. If I get done a midnight shift at the sheriff's department, and I work 11 to 7,
Correct,
I do not wanna go home and hear a dog barking
correct.
from 7
I'm
to
trying
8,
to sleep, yeah.
because that's my sleep time.
I've lived through it.
Yeah,
I worked nights and my neighbor's dog, he had a shepherd, it barked whenever it was outside.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to call the neighbor and I asked him, could you please keep the dog in? I can't sleep during the day. I usually get up at this time. He kept her in until that time, let her out.
Right,
And like I said, most times
That's good,
either,
that's the way, that's, you could.
It worked perfectly. I mean, The dog only barked when she was outside,
Mhm.
but when she did, it was continuous.
But she wanted in, that's
Non-stop.
why.
Right,
She would go to the end of the driveway
she's
and
not
go like,
happy.
hey, I'm here.
Yep, and that's exactly it, she's looking for her pack,
Yeah.
she's looking to get in the house. A noise ordinance, that's where it classifies as a noise ordinance real good. Because, law enforcement can go there and say, listen, your dog's barking. This is a noise ordinance, I can give you a ticket and drag you to the Champlain court, or you can fix the problem. If I go there and say your dog's barking, I can give you an appearance, it can go to Champlain court. 9 times out of 10, the guy gets upset. So as soon as I drive out of the driveway, he's out there aggravating the dog. So he's playing stick with it, and the dog is just now having fun, so it's barking up a storm. And meanwhile, the guy is sitting over, his neighbor's sitting and pulling his hair out. And unfortunately, you're not gonna fix the problem neighbors fighting, but you can probably try to fix the problem of them using the law to beat each other over the head with.
So you think we're okay the way we have these written then?
I think as long as you keep it separate, keep it in one ballpark.
Okay.
Keep it in the noise ordinance, you're fine. Keep it out of the dog control law.
Which it is out of the law.
Right,
Right.
so you're fine there.
So I thought,
Yeah, the only piece in terms of in that dog law is, it says, and this is section 5 under restrictions, says for the purposes of this section 5, number 2, the term habitual shall mean a dog barking, whining, or otherwise making noise for repeated intervals of at least 5 minutes with less than 2 minutes of interruption, which can be heard by any person, including a law enforcement officer or dog control officer from a location outside of the owner's or caretaker's premises.
so then that probably should be pulled out then.
Yeah.
So we'll pull that out, and we'll leave the
You
other.
can put that into the noise ordinance law.
Well, it's already there, so.
Okay,
yeah,
you're fine.
Yeah, so the noise ordinance won't change, it's just gonna be the,
Dog.
Okay.
yeah, so you send me the update, whatever you have, and then I
I'll try to get
can
that
quickly
form
turn
on.
around and get that done.
But just so the board understands, this doesn't mean I'll stop going out to address the dog barking.
Right.
I'll just point you, if they wanna file a complaint, point them in the right direction to file the complaint.
Right.
Otherwise, I will still go out there and try to remedy this situation.
So what we're gonna do now
That
is,
can't be fun.
we're gonna introduce, we're gonna be introducing both these laws,
Mhm.
setting public hearings for May,
Okay?
which is roughly 3 weeks or so. It's May what, 9th, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, May 9th.
Okay.
And then at that meeting, most likely we'll adopt these 2 laws.
Okay, I can be at the
And
May
it
9th
takes a couple
meeting.
weeks to file. So by the end of May, these will definitely should be enacted.
Okay.
And if you wanna be at the public hearing.
I'll be there to
you can-
answer any
you can-
questions.
You can be. I mean, so let me go through these resolutions real quick. Resolution number 9, introduction of local law number 2 of 2023 entitled Town of Champlain, noise ordinance of account of the code of the Town of Champlain. Whereas the Town of Champlain Town Board, the Town Board recognizes the requirement of a noise ordinance for the Town of Champlain. And whereas the Town Board identified the need to adopt a noise ordinance law to provide and define standards to prevent disturbances to our public. And whereas the Town Board is now initiating the adoption process for subsection 272-A of Town Law. And now therefore it be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Champlain does hereby introduce local law number 2 of 2023. Motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 11, introduction of local law number 3 of 2023.
No,
Number 9.
no, I just did.
Oh, is it number 9?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Did the.
I make a motion that we approve resolution number 9, introduction of local law number 2 of 2023, entitled the Town of Champlain Noise Ordinance.
A second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any further discussion? Any opposed? Motion carries. And resolution number 10, to set a public hearing proposed law number 2 of 2023 entitled Town of Champlain Noise Ordinance of the Code of the Town of Champlain. Whereas the town of Champlain, the town board recognized the requirement of a noise ordinance for the town of Champlain. And whereas the town board identified the need to adopt a noise ordinance law to provide and define standards to prevent disturbances to our public. And whereas the town board desires to hold a public hearing with respect to the adoption of said local law. And now, therefore it be resolved, one, that a public hearing be held by this town board with respect to the adoption of the aforesaid local law at 7 p.m. on May 9th, 2023, at the Town of Champlain Municipal Building, 10729 Route 9, Champlain, New York. And two, that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause all required public notices of said hearing to be given as provided by law. And motion to approve said resolution as written. Typo, maybe that out of there.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 10.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We just set that at 7 o'clock. That was left over from when we had a meeting at 6:30. Is that gonna work? Are we be all right? We're just gonna be a few minutes
Yeah.
late. We'll go into the public hearing.
Right in the public hearing, yeah.
Okay? I just realized that. Where's my resolutions for the dog law?
Actually, those were first.
That's what screwed us up,
Kind of
right?
threw me.
Yeah, so we just stacked
Yeah,
them.
11 and 12 were before 9 and 10. I was like,
I know, you're trying to get everything in
Chronological.
order. Yeah.
I don't have that.
I thought you put it right there, underneath that clip that you got.
Under here? This is 13.
yeah, that's a water and wastewater.
Yeah.
That's 13 and 14.
How come I don't have those two? It may have gotten picked up with this other pile, and it did. That's why I got screwed up, I'm sorry.
No, those paper clips cause those issues.
Yep, okay, so. We'll do 11 and 12 now,
Okay.
to get back on board, correct? Okay. Resolution number 11, introduction of local law number 3 of 2023 entitled Dog Licensing and Control of the Code of the Town of Champlain. Whereas the Town of Champlain Town Board, the Town Board revised the Dog Licensing and Control Law, Chapter 66, and whereas the Town Board identified the need to revise the Town Dog Licensing and Control Law to add clarity and supplementary standards, and whereas the Town Board recognized that this revision essentially replaces the current Chapter 66 to address the present needs of the Town of Champlain. And whereas the Town Board is now initiating the adoption process for subsection 272-A of Town Law, and now, therefore it be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Champlain does hereby introduce local law number 3 of 2023. Motion to approve said resolution as written.
I'll make a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 12, to set a public hearing for proposed local law 3 of 2023. Amendment to Chapter 66, Dog Licensing and Control of the Code of the Town of Champlain. Whereas proposed local law number 3 of 2023 would amend Chapter 66 in its entirety of the Code of the Town of Champlain, and whereas the Town Board desires to hold a public hearing with respect to the adoption of said local law, and now, therefore, be it resolved, 1, that a public hearing be held by this Town Board with respect to the adoption of the aforesaid local law at 7 p.m. on May 9th, 2023, at the Town of Champlain Municipal Building, 10729 Route 9, Champlain, New York, and 2, that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause all required public notices of said hearing to be given as provided by law. And motion to approve said resolution as written.
Do you wanna change the time?
7:15,
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
Okay. Revise this one.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 12 as amended.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any further discussion? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Need to have a motion to approve resolutions as written for the Rouse's Point Fire Department members being recognized. Which I think it's still out there, I think.
I think,
And
and you
has
have
it.
They're
those.
right here, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you need to sign in.
I did.
Okay,
Do you want
I can get them after.
Okay.
Just put it on that table. Motion to approve?
Absolutely.
Okay. Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any further discussion? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that brings us to utility detailed billing register for water and sewer bills. Just need an approval of this billing that has gone out.
13?
You do 13, 14?
Yeah, after this,
Is that what the way it is in the agenda?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to keep us on our toes. I have everything all in order as it goes down.
I did too, but I had a paper clip that stole it on me. I have a motion to approve as,
I'll make a.
What are we approving now,
The
though? Because there's a
water.
number, oh, thank you.
The water bills.
yeah, it's just for the billing, water and sewer billing. Do you not have it,
Let's
Rich?
see, I'm looking, I'm going
It
through
would have been
the,
in the first package
I
you
don't think I
got,
have it.
first agenda that you got.
No,
You need me to look at?
if I could.
Oh, there you go.
Just need the last page.
Totals.
Yep.
Jody, we still have at least 4 more items on here. If you need to leave, you're fine. It's up to you.
That's up to you. If you're done with me, I will take my leave.
Yeah. I don't think
Thank you, Jody.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I'll
Thank you
get
for
that out to
listening.
you tomorrow.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Jody.
Okay, you can have this back.
You folks have a nice night.
You too.
We'll try.
I'm hoping not to burn midnight oil.
Well, if you
Did he
do,
say
let me know.
midnight
I'll
here?
send you a
I do
pizza.
think I heard that
I
word.
think he said midnight.
Good night, Jody.
No,
I was
it's
not betting on that.
So just take a half a day tomorrow.
I'm sorry, I need to. That's a second page that I'm not used to seeing, so. There you go. Thank you. Now I'm ready.
resolutions, what's it, type it out.
We have to get here early, there are a lot to do.
Have to call into the school. I don't think that was to be done one day.
And you'll be on the BB
We'll
list,
hang
the
it
bad
for
boy
first.
list.
So we're just waiting on a motion on this?
Yeah.
Is that what we're waiting on?
Yeah,
Okay, then I'll make the motion that we approve the water bill as submitted dated April 4th, 2023.
I'll second it. Any discussion on it? Not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're, resolution number 13, to adopt a policy entitled Water and Wastewater Service Application and Permit for the Town of Champlain. Whereas the Town of Champlain Town Board, the Town Board recognizes the necessity to create and implement a water service application and permit for the Town of Champlain. And whereas the policy consists of a permit for residential applications and a permit for commercial and industrial applications. And whereas the purpose of this policy is to ensure that all new water services will be properly documented through this new application and permit process. And whereas the town board, by board resolution, may revise this policy from time to time if necessary. And whereas the town board approves this new application and permit, and now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Champlain does hereby adopt the water service application and permit policy of 2023. Motion to approve said resolution as written.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as written.
Okay, a second.
Second.
Second that
Oh, sorry,
motion.
Ann, go ahead.
Okay. Any discussion on the permits? Now that we're in discussion mode. Are you happy with both of them as, these were bears to work on? Because we used the template from Town of Plattsburgh. They're Word documents and they're full of text boxes.
Right.
Loaded with text boxes.
Yep. Yep.
It made it so hard to revise things. It's like every time you try to revise something, the whole page would take off on you.
Right.
It was-
So we're recognizing on the commercial industrial service application permit, so we're recognizing our personnel as town water operator?
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
okay.
I think that was based up on Chris's reviews.
Yep, that's
as
what I
well.
wondered. Okay.
That is, you know, 'cause that is his title. And we don't actually have a department. as
Right.
Plattsburgh does. So hopefully, you know, this is very sufficient for today and lasts a while, but we can revise if needed. If we find something that's,
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
you know, and Matt,
And Mickey gave you insight on some of those estimated charges, finally?
some.
Yeah, okay.
But as far as the permits, you know, that we're dealing with right now, that was
Right,
reviewed by our legal counsel, and
Right.
he thought it was fine.
okay,
The resolutions were fine. He had no changes.
good.
Okay, so that one's done. So resolution 14. To adopt a policy entitled Water and Wastewater Schedule of Estimated Charges for Services Rendered for the Town of Champlain. Whereas the Town of Champlain Town Board, the Town Board recognizes the necessity to create and implement a water and wastewater schedule of estimated charges for services rendered for the Town of Champlain. And whereas the policy consists of an estimated schedule of charges for residential, commercial, and industrial applications. And whereas the purpose of this policy is to ensure that all water and wastewater customers will be adequately apprised of the cost of services. And whereas the town board, by board resolution, may revise this policy from time to time if necessary. And whereas the town board approves this new schedule of estimated charges, and now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Champlain does hereby adopt the water and wastewater schedule of estimated charges for services rendered policy of 2023. Motion to approve said resolution.
I'll
as
make a
written.
motion to approve resolution number 14.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the schedule, the schedule of estimated charges? Any questions? We adjusted from, the Plattsburgh policy, removed some stuff that was not necessary, like one of them I can think of was all the costs for providing water from hydrants, which we are not going to do. We decided we are not doing that. So that was pulled right out.
Well, you know, if you hear noises and whatnot, it's
Okay.
just me and the police and.
You're not hanging anybody over there?
Anyway, if I'm still here and you gotta go, I'll put the alarm on.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.
Good night.
Anyways, again, this I can see getting adjusted probably annually as we find we were
May have
off, but that's why I made sure that word estimated is in this document all over the
to.
place.
Leaving wiggle room.
Yeah, it's just, it's to give people an idea, if they need to get hooked up, it's gonna cost them approximately this, right?
Right.
And I sat with Chris, and we estimated high on some things, because we felt it's better to tell somebody it's gonna cost, $100 to have something put in and have it come back with a $50 bill as compared to the opposite.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
I
much
agree.
happier.
So, some might be very close, I don't know. So anyways,
Moving along.
if there's no issues, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. We now have 2 policies, that's awesome. Okay, the utility credit purchase agreement. This is for the, solar going into the Champlain landfill. I'll talk to you about that afterwards, on Castine Road, correct?
Right.
I'll bring this up at the end. So, all I need is, if you've reviewed it, again, legal has reviewed this, and said it's very standard. I found that there, B here, he had Chautauqua County listed, right, in a conversation with him by phone, pointed it out to him. He was supposed to correct that and send me the new signature page.
Yep.
So I'll probably have to send an email tomorrow, letting him know I'm ready to sign if you agree, and that'll get corrected. But yeah, I guess it's pretty standard. So if you all agree with this, I just need a
I
motion.
make a motion that we approve the utility credit purchase agreement with the amended change as noted.
Okay, thank you. Since I'm signing it, I'll have a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any further discussion? Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of agreement for the expenditure of highway monies. You have a copy of,
I don't think we have a copy.
I don't think we have a copy of
You
that.
didn't give me that to give him a copy.
oops, pass it
You
around.
said you were gonna just,
We're gonna pass it around and sign it.
that's what you said.
I did. I'm getting tired now. Done at 4:30.
It's been a long day, right?
Table meeting until next month.
I got it.
Take it off the table.
So we can knock off the number 3 and 4, a full business for the next one. So if you're all good with that, as you pass it around and sign it,
Okay.
then we'll just need a motion to approve it. Pass those two down, no, I have one for you, do you want one of these? Pass these two down, Jason, one for you.
What's that? Do they need to see that?
Well, you guys sign
They
it.
got everybody
No,
to
that's
sign it.
sign it.
Oh, now why is it that
It needs to
council
stay up.
people have to sign this specifically versus other?
I don't know. I don't know, it's.
I remember doing it in the
It's
past,
a
I
it's
just,
a county form,
yeah.
you know? And as I pointed out,
One of those-
the
No.
county
I'm
should,
gonna
She
take
just-
pictures.
the county should
Did you
revise
want
it
to,
because we have.
There's
council
two there,
members.
Oh,
one for
there
you,
are.
one for Brian.
Thank you. Never mind, I won't take a picture.
Oh, Lord,
Right? I pointed that out to Sarah today, I go, "Hey, they gotta revise this."
They're bringing a new world.
I think there's a song, man.
Or a book.
Oh, I'm sorry, you get one of these. I did the same thing.
We'll be brief on that, but I just wanted you to have a copy of what they sent me, that's their vision of the housing site.
Ah,
I think I showed it to you today, but if you want a copy, you can have
That
it.
would look really nice there.
I can print one off.
I see one.
See what I'm concerned about that? No?
Now, this is the special
We
twenty-two
need a
acres,
motion.
right?
Yes, this I need a motion to approve. And this I gotta get back to Sarah. County has to sign it and so on. So I'll put that right there. We need to move for Ryan. Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the agreement for the expenditure of highway monies.
I'll second that.
Thank you. I guess we'll do roll call.
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Bory,
aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye.
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. Thank you. That's it. So the other things I need to just quickly point out to you are, one, today I got an email from DEC that we are up to renew our periodic review. It's an environmental assessment of the Champlain landfill. So I was kind of blindsided, because, so I scrolled through, I found the phone number to Kelly Duval. Called her up, said, what is this about? I don't remember this last year, is this annual? She goes, no, it's every 5 years.
Well, 5 years.
So that explains why I was not sure what it was. Brian, do you remember doing this before?
No.
So I had her send me the last report, which was June 2018.
Wonderful.
We're gonna need to hire an environmental engineer to do the report. So there goes some contingency funds. Now luckily, we're gonna be entering, hopefully soon here, and getting lease funds, et cetera, on that piece of property, because we're not prepared for this. We weren't budgeted, so I asked Sarah to put a line, a notation in that line item, that this expenditure will come at us every 5 years.
Well, we should find out whether with the development of the site, whether that's still necessary or what changes, you know,
I asked, still
Is it?
necessary.
still necessary.
So even though the engine, no, I can see, 5 years is a lot.
Rockin'.
Yeah, so what it is basically if you look through this, it's all data.
100 more.
So it's all the test data, then they do an inspection of the site, of the, what do you call the cap?
Yeah.
We'll call it a cap, I think that's the
It
right
is.
term. I mean, this report that's the report, and this is all the data.
Yikes.
So, Barton and Lejeune did the last one. I'm guessing that's $4 or $5 grand. I'm thinking we should do an RFP and get at least 3 quotes.
Yeah,
We might be able to save $1,000 on that.
well, I'm sure you will.
Then again, we might find that it might be cheaper to go back to the guys.
So what's the timeline? This is done every 5 years. When do we have to have this submitted by?
July.
Oh my gosh.
That's not very far away, is it?
I know, I just got
Kinda like
emails.
surprises. Surprises only happen on your birthday.
I told you I got blindsided
Lots of
today.
good surprises.
Thank God I actually, opened that email and dove into it. Although the email did say that
Important.
there will be something followed in the mail, so I would have got it in the mail anyways.
They know where you live and they will come get you.
That's good.
Well, no, I'm concerned about the fines and all the other things. So, we have sufficient time to be able to proceed with this and have this done and submitted by July of '23?
I hope. That's why I don't know, I'm kind of wondering, do we go back to B&L and say, hey, can you?
And give us an extension. I don't know.
I don't know. I could start by trying to contact B&L.
Well,
I
we're
forget
working
who the
with several
principal.
people now, I mean, we don't necessarily have to go to B&L.
No, I know. That's why I'd like to just throw an RFP together and get it out to several of them.
Like a.
What kind of turnaround time are we waiting on that?
For
May?
To me to get it done, you mean, or?
No, for these quotes to come back.
Oh, I'd have to put a short deadline. I'd have to give them like.
Like a 2-week?
Yeah, 2 to 3
Yeah.
weeks. 2 weeks would be good.
Hot seat, you're in the hot seat.
I mean, I had no idea this was coming.
No,
And you've got a sample report for them to see what
Mhm.
information
And,
is
and,
included.
and we don't have to give them an indication in terms of when this has to be done, right? Because that might push cost up.
rush job.
And I could also call Kelly back to find out if extensions can be given because of if the engineer does not get it done in time.
I bet you if it's still being used, they can't. That landfill's still being used, you can't touch
No, we're
it
not using it.
at all for
No,
any purpose at all. Nobody even enters the site.
Well, yeah, it's
well,
not
they've gotta
going to
draw
be
water
because,
samples.
yeah, and we're going to be entering into an agreement to put solar there, which she thought was great, and there is some documentation that needs to be done in regards to that, but it's coming from the solar company. They're the ones that are gonna be responsible for that.
They'll be paying the bill.
Right.
If they put solar there, can they inherit this as they pay for this every 5 years until their lease is up on the land?
In addition to what they're paying us?
Well, couldn't this be part of the costs of the solar project? We have to do that report.
Push the cost of it.
You mean
Yeah.
get him to pay additional?
Well, no, they're about 1% you were talking about.
No, that's not what it's to be used for. That 1% is just for
Other
Legal
costs.
all our legal fees, our zoning, our boards, our code officer. I mean, we already have a proposal of what he's gonna lease the land for. I don't know if we can now go pay extra. I think we're fine. I think we're lucky that we're going to get some income to cover this because there never has been, and this has been happening every 5 years. Do you remember what year it got closed?
Oh my gosh,
It's over.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, that's-
It's probably 30 years ago.
at minimum.
Is it that long?
Yeah. We're old, Rick, remember?
Yeah, I guess you're
And
right.
I did email her back and I asked,
After 50, it starts
how many
to-
more years will we do this? And basically it's
ongoing.
infinity.
Yeah.
Well, if-
Beyond.
We did
There
ask
is
that
no
same
end date.
question before
Which-
about them.
which also raises further discussion in terms of the recycling, you know, for maybe not us, but for
Right.
other locations.
Yeah, I'll give the answer to
Right?
the question. I think we should still try it, but
I don't know.
I think there are some questions to answer before we decide. But I think it is important that we try to recycle.
So all you need is a motion for RFP to obtain 3 quotes right now.
I don't even need a motion for that.
Okay.
Just- Really, I don't see a reason for a motion for that.
Right.
Just, if you think we need to go out for 3 quotes,
Well, I think it's time sensitive, we need to move,
Yeah,
Yeah.
because otherwise we're gonna be.
up the
That
creek
means
without
I
a
gotta-
paddle.
that becomes a
Now, my
cloudy-
question
Well, we
is,
gotta tell you
secondary to
about
this
that.
is now what are we going to forego because of this unforeseen cost? Can we have Sarah look back in 2018 and see what we paid out to have this done by an environmental engineer?
Yeah, I would assume she might be able to find that, but it's gonna be.
I'm gonna think it's
It's gonna be
20.
paper copies, so it's be harder for her to find.
I know.
It's in the ledger somewhere.
And it's hard to know what the costs are
How they've
in
increased.
5 years.
I get that. But at least you can get an idea in terms of about how much you're gonna.
Well, you know what was paid to Barton and Judas,
Correct,
so,
so all we have to do is pull up their,
look back
Try.
on the vouchers for 2018,
right, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
it shouldn't be, I wouldn't think it would be that difficult, but maybe.
Never as
2018
easy as
vouchers,
you think.
you knew it had to be done by July, so you're looking from January to
Correct,
July,
right,
so,
first 6 months.
yeah.
Yep, I agree.
So I will get that done next week.
Okay.
And also see if I can get a answer from Ms. Kelly Duval on whether or not, what happens if we miss that July deadline? What does it mean? Can we get an extension? Because I don't feel it's enough time.
No, I don't either, and I'm worried about fines on top of it.
I think they assume that we're prepared for this and we've got it on the calendar. What was it on my calendar?
Big assumption.
Okay. That's it.
Oh, good.
Motion to adjourn.
Say that again, Jim?
Is
Say
that-
it again, no smile. Julie, you can even second it.
Do we have a first and a second?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting for the evening.
I will second it.
I love to see that smile.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye,
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you.
aye.
Frank, you got the camera?
What time is it?
Well, it's 20
Official is 9:42.
Yeah, when I saw the,